What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel, where in today's video we will be discussing the potential power of Rey Skywalker in a post-Rise of Skywalker era as she continues to expand her knowledge of the Force to test and challenge the limitations of her power and presumably seeks to rebuild the Jedi Order. Rey's progression in the first year of her training, which just about covers the entire time span of the sequel trilogy, is among the fastest we have ever seen, thanks in large part to the knowledge she was able to gain from Ben Solo due to the bridging of their minds. I don't think it's any stretch to say that Rey is likely the most powerful Force user in canon at this stage of her training. Not even Anakin Skywalker was able to progress that quickly. Not even Luke, who began his training at the same age that Rey did, could have held a candle to Rey's power at the end of each of their first years of training. Now, we have discussed the reasons for Rey's rapidly increasing power many times before on this channel, and the explanations are also covered pretty well by the conclusion of the sequel trilogy, so we're not going to go down that road again because it's not necessary. Rey is extremely powerful, we all know that. She learns faster than pretty much anyone ever, we've got that too. But here's why that's important for this video. There's two reasons. One, Ben Solo is gone. For now. So any further capabilities that Rey could have gained from him going forward as she continued to ascend to his level and each of them kept getting better and better and learning how to operate as one entity in the Force is gone. She will still obviously have the knowledge she previously acquired from him, so it's not like she's taking a step back. She's also still her own person with her own capabilities and her own powers. The dyad and the nature in which the two of them discovered their bond simply gave her a boost in terms of her starting point, and it obviously could have benefited both her and Ben Solo more and more as they progressed together. But now, although he is still with her spiritually, Rey is on her own. From what we know, there's no more special powers for her to utilize if Ben is not alive. So with that in mind, we are going to eliminate Ben Solo from the equation for the rest of this video. Rey is who she is at the conclusion of the Rise of Skywalker, and that's that. No more Ben Solo, no more special dyad powers and abilities. This is her starting point for the purposes of this discussion. So now the second factor to consider here is that Rey has already tapped into a great portion of her potential in the Force. Her progress from this point is going to be much slower. This is just simple logic. That's how things work. You don't progress at the same rate forever. Think of a basketball player, or any other athlete for that matter. When you start out as a kid, you progress really quickly, right? You continue on that track for a while if you keep playing, but as your body reaches physical maturity and as your skills become more polished, progress slows. Look at LeBron James. Phenomenal athlete, great basketball player. He's changed his game over the years. He's evolved. His athleticism declines a little, but then he becomes a more intelligent player. He learns the ins and outs of the game. He gets better in other ways. You get the picture. The point is that although he got better over the course of his career, that progress between, say, age 25 to 35 was nothing close to the progress he made from 10 to 20 or 5 to 15. This is the law of diminished returns. Another example, and this is probably a better one, would be to look at people who exercise or work out. There's a thing called newbie gains. When you start lifting weights, you progress really quickly. You put on a lot of muscle, or you get a lot better at running if that's your thing. Whatever you're consistently working on, you get way better in that first year or two of training. But after that, progress tapers off. You have to work much harder to make similar progress to what you were seeing before. And eventually, as you approach your genetic limit, it slows down more and more, and eventually progress may even stop altogether. If you cap out, you cap out. There's nothing you can do. Now, it's highly unlikely that Rey would ever quite reach that point of absolutely maxing out her genetic potential because nobody really does that. It's extremely difficult. You can always modify something in some way, tweak this, change that, explore a different style or approach, so on and so forth. And that's in terms of everything, not just for Rey and her ability to use the Force. But considering where Rey is starting now, it's possible that she will come very close. Now, the other side of this, which is extremely important to acknowledge, is that Rey didn't begin her training until she was 19 years old. Most Jedi traditionally begin way younger than that. Even Anakin Skywalker was deemed too old by the Jedi Council initially at like 9 years old in The Phantom Menace. So Rey, from that perspective, is actually getting a really late start, and it could be argued, probably correctly, that her bond with Ben Solo just really allowed her to catch up and get to the level that she she would have been without him, or to a similar level that she would have been without him. Let's look at genetics really quickly. Rey's genetic potential as a Palpatine is among the highest in galactic history. It's not quite on the level of a Skywalker, which is the absolute peak as far as we know, but it's close. It's around the level of a Master Yoda, who is a character who probably did come about as close as you can to maximizing his potential, as he was over 900 years old. But think about that. Yoda trained and studied the ways of the Force for 900 years, and he did so during a time when the Jedi were at the pinnacle of their power, and still, he probably didn't achieve his absolute maximum potential. And so we come back to Rey, who does not have the luxury of a multi-century lifespan. Taking that into consideration, it becomes increasingly unlikely that Rey will achieve her maximum potential, but let's say she comes close. Because again, assuming you put in the work, you have the right teachers and the right resources, most of your progress will be made earlier on, so a 900-year lifespan is not a prerequisite to becoming an extremely powerful Force wielder. Look no further than Luke or Anakin for evidence of that. And we should also point out that Yoda's species matures at a different rate than humans do, so his progress in terms of his ability to wield the Force would be more gradual than Rey or any other human for that matter. So let's say Rey reaches 95% of her genetic limit in the Force, and let's say she attains all the knowledge she possibly can. At that point, you'd be looking at one of, if not the absolute most powerful Force wielder in galactic history. This would put her past Anakin or Darth Vader, whose physical limitations never allowed him to reach his full power, past Obi-Wan, past Mace Windu, past Ben Solo, and this puts her up there in contention with the very best. Now, we don't know what level of their power characters like Yoda, Luke Skywalker, and Darth Sidious ended up reaching, but I think it's pretty clear based on the events and the context of the story that those three were probably able to maximize their power more so than anyone else. So if Rey does the same, simple logic and reasoning tell us that she will be right there with them. But there is one more hurdle standing in the way, which actually isn't Rey's fault at all, and that is simply the era in which she lives. Let me explain. Rey did have to face Kylo Ren multiple times, which forced her into situations of discomfort. Her options at this time were very simple: adjust with the times, grow, and live to fight another day, or die. Not that Kylo would have killed her, but if he didn't, which he probably wouldn't, someone else would have. The Praetorian Guards, the Knights of Ren, Snoke, Palpatine, Stormtroopers, anyone. This time of war forced Rey to grow in a way and at a rate that would not have otherwise been accomplished. This also explains her natural resourcefulness and her ability to defend herself as she grew up as a desert scavenger. We are all products of our environment. Harsh circumstances created a self-sufficient, self-reliant, battle-tested hero. But now that the First Order is gone, what else is pushing her? Luke and Leia are gone. Ben Solo is gone. Her enemies are defeated. She has no one to consistently teach her and no one to challenge her. And if we really look at Rey's life as a whole, she has no special internal motive to rebuild the Jedi Order anyhow. She's going to do so because that's the life she has chosen, and really that's the life that chose her. She's going to do it because that gives meaning and purpose to her life. She's going to do it because she's the only one that can. She's doing it for the greater good because that's the type of person Rey is. But at the end of the day, what else is really pushing her to get better? Sure, she'll want to teach her students as well as she possibly can. Yes, she still has Luke, Leia, and Ben to communicate with if she needs them. The First Order may not be completely wiped out just yet. There may still be battles to be fought. But there's no truly worthy competition to push her as hard as she has been pushed up to this point. Practice can only get you so far. You need real-life exposure to real-life problems. So in that sense, I think the amount of her own raw strength that Rey will ultimately unlock may come down to what sort of new challenges rise. If there isn't going to be any more significant evil, then she probably won't reach that 90 to 100% threshold of her capabilities. But if some greater evil does rise again, then she may be pushed to ascend to greater heights. And also at that point, perhaps we do see the revival of Ben Solo, which would push the two of them together as one to surpass any level we have seen before, because the dyad is a completely different entity altogether. But that's really neither neither here nor there. For now, Rey is on her own, and regardless of whether that changes or things stay that way, she will become an extremely powerful and formidable Force wielder. She already is that, and she will continue to become much better. The question is simply how far can she go, and that is a question that I cannot wait to explore. So fingers crossed for the continuation of Rey's story and the further expansion of the Skywalker saga in the future, but that is going to wrap things up for this video, so comment down below and let everyone know what level you think Rey was at when last seen in The Rise of Skywalker, and also let us know where you think she will end up when her story is all said and done. If you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a thumbs up to support the channel, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and of course, may the Force be with you always.